Welcome back, everyone. This is Monday morning in June, and Darren from DSM is up bright and early. Welcome to the show, Darren.
Morning, Claude. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks. I'm very impressed at your super earliness of getting up. Are you a morning person?
I am a morning person. I also have three young children under the age of 12. So my 5-year-old was kind of breathing heavy on me at about 4:15 this morning. So.
Okay, that will explain it. I love it. Darren, you originally started out in the TV world, but somehow you managed to get on the roller coaster of agency life. Tell me about that journey.
The journey was one of interesting proportions. I call it the Jerry Maguire story. So I started my career in 2000 in Manhattan, working for large agencies, working on big accounts like really cool accounts, Boston Beer, Jim Beam, Puma, Verizon Wireless, Toyota, doing television. This was before the big digital explosion, if you will. So every department was television, radio, print, out of home. It was very segmented. And in 2005, I got married, and I was commuting 3 hours a day down to Houston and Hudson Street in New York, and just getting burned out. So moved to an agency in 2005 out here in New Jersey to do local auto. When I got there, it was good for about 3 months. Was able to come home and be available to, be home with my wife for dinner and really not have to travel to LA during the year. When I was working on Toyota. Got to month 4, they got a T-Mobile co-op, and lo and behold, I was on the road to Detroit in January, and DC, and Florida, and Texas. And so the agency was owned by 2 brothers. I walked in and I said, look, I don't want to be traveling. That's why I came here. And I said, if you guys want me on the road, I'd like to buy my laptop. I went to IKEA. And then I went to Stop and Shop, a local supermarket here, bought a rotisserie chicken and a 6-pack of beer, and waited for my wife and mother-in-law to call me because they were on vacation in Florida. And it was a Friday night, and I waited for my wife to call. And she said, oh, how was your trip to DC? I said, great, but I got to change of plans. I'm going to start my own agency. She said, in a year, 9 months, a year? I said, nope, Monday.
I love the way you waited until she was in another state for that conversation.
And she was having dinner. They were out at a restaurant down in Florida, and I'll never forget the reaction. It was like 3 minutes of silence, and then I just hit the ground running. I set up my desk. I went to IKEA. I bought a desk. We had an old farmhouse with a front porch. And I was out on the porch through the summer until it got too cold. My wife, I just kept adding blankets. I was like in, like Game of Thrones.
What an image.
Yeah. And then my wife was like, we have a basement. Why don't you just move the desk from I'll help you move the desk from the front porch to the basement so you don't have to freeze anymore. And the first year, like I said, we started February 2007. We did about 80,000 that first year just from blood, sweat, and tears and hustling around people that I knew.
Yeah, I was going to say, where did you start? Just with your own immediate circle?
The town over, and just literally begged, borrowed, and stealed from the people that knew me since I was 3 years old, and said, look, I just started an agency. We're, a very reasonable cost. Give us an opportunity. And that's how it really started. And then by year 2, like I said, we started February 2007, got through the first year, did about 80. And then by the second year, we were up to like 450 as like we started doing projects, and we did really well, and we proved ourselves, and then the rest is history. And then it was just kind of like we grew. It went from 1 person to 2 people, then 2 people to 3 people, then people started throwing water on us like we were gremlins, and then we turned into little stripers, and then it was like there were 7 of us, and then we grew out of our office, and then the digital side came on in 2013. And we grew from 6 to 22 people, and we only had 3,000 square feet and 7 parking spaces in our building.
Oh, wow.
And that was really the time that we had to make a decision. And in June 2nd, 2017, we built out a new space a few towns over from us and 6,600 square feet of new space. And, you know, we're 15 people now. We've kind of, I've got a great COO, Zinka, and I've got a great CFO, and we kind of have become the holy trinity, and they take care of the finances and the operations and let me do what I do best, which is the relationships and networking side of the business.
Amazing. What a
Yeah.
journey, right?
It's been crazy. It's been crazy. And if anybody's watching out there and you're an agency owner, I would not say to take that blueprint and run with it, because it was absolutely crazy. There's a bit of craziness to it. There's a little beauty in it, and it's a great story. But at the time, had no plan, had no clients, and I had $5,000 in savings, and I just ran with it.
Yeah, and you were sitting on the porch like the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, with multiple blankets, I look like
With
Jon
multiple
Snow.
blankets and a promise you'd made to your wife while she was in another country, in
In
another
another
state, in another
yeah.
state. So you're like, you had plenty of fire under you there.
Yeah.
Who do you work with now? What's the kind of primary types of client? Are you in an industry, or is it location? What's the kind of clientele that you work with?
Yeah, really right now, we like to call them mid-sized businesses. I mean, I guess in the traditional scope of things, they're smaller businesses.
Right.
10 to 150 million. We try to really focus on business that is in New Jersey. We do work with some clients that are out of state, but we like to call ourselves an enclave of New York City expats. So, and we focus on a work-life balance. So the beauty of what we're building, and again, we're 25 minutes outside of New York City. So there's a ton of business that fits the model that we're looking for.
Right.
We work on, usually on retainers. We really don't do project work, because as we're building out the digital side of things, we're really focused on that relationship. And building that out over time. A lot of our clients have become our friends. We just had one of our oldest clients, who's a men's clothing store. The gentleman who owns it, they're a 40-year-old family business, and they were over last night, swimming with our kid. Like, we've become real like family friends. Like, I think of him as a brother.
Nice.
And that mid-market, we don't specifically work with any verticals. We have clients anywhere running from hospitals, their gamma knife programs, to neurosurgeon practices, to a local college here, to banks, to men's clothing stores. We do B2B and B2C. Mm-hmm. We have a really wonderful team of people that really digs in. We don't have a huge client roster, and we keep it that way,
right?
In order for our people to be able to learn and to immerse themselves. That's kind of like the relationship part of it as well.
Yeah.
It's important for them to immerse themselves in what our clients do, in order to, one, feel like a part of their team and gain that trust. That trust is vital. Right. It's been vital to our success.
Yeah, trust and communication. I think some agencies have skipped over that in the past, but I think right now everyone's realized that we're a lot more entrenched in the digital space. We're a lot more entrenched in a business than probably even bookkeepers and finance people, because we know a lot about the world, where about technology, about how to connect with people, about how to take businesses online. And with that comes ups and downs. And like any relationship, you've got to be able to have a conversation when things go pear-shaped,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it sounds like this is something you are probably very grateful for, that you didn't go after a niche. I think we're realizing that a lot of agencies are realizing that now. If they stuck with a country and stuck with a niche, or stuck very geographically, or overcompensated with a particular industry, the circumstances of the last few months have really shaken that. So you've gone, it's almost like you've got a certain type of person you work with that has a certain belief and a certain core values, and then the business comes after.
It's more about the persona. It's funny because, well, there's two things to it. So first, when I first started this, you're eloquently making it sound like I was so far ahead of the curve, and like, so there's two things that came out of it. The first thing, with understanding the persona, it's really, really important for us, again, getting back to that relationship part of it. So when you're building it out, again, we have a national brand that literally their office is across the street from my house,
Right.
which is incredible. And they're in Florida, Texas, California. They're doing discount prescription cards for humans and animals. Okay, so it's diverse, and it runs from diabetes to allergies to, pet care. The first thing that I want to say is, going back to your point, I needed to do it at the beginning. So we needed to be diverse, and there were two main reasons. The first was, I came from an agency before I started DSM that did auto, and I saw creatives get burned out all the time because they were taking a Mercedes and switching it to an Audi, and then switching the price tag on a monthly payment every day, and it drove them nuts.
Right.
So, the first person that was into the agency, it was like, I was the sales guy, I had a creative partner, and basically I didn't want to see what happened to the guys at my, the creatives at my old shop to happen to this guy.
Yeah.
And so we kept it diverse. We had a local chocolate shop. At the beginning, it was literally like mom and pops, and and we would literally do anything.
Yeah.
One of the great stories of a friend of mine's dad has a restaurant here, and we did the signage for it. And basically, this is how far I was. When I worked in television, I got as close to like a tape coming from LA, like the actual TV commercial on like a VHS tape, going from LA to New York to like the television station. That's as close to creative. So we got this logo, and we were going to do a sign, and the place, it was beautiful. It's called the Brick House. It's a steakhouse type of place, but the sign literally was made. The guy who owns it, his name is Aldo. I went to high school with his daughter. It was a drawing that came off of like the blueprints for the design of the building. And
Right.
he's like, I want that. And I took it, and I'm like, let's do that. We're going to put that on a sign. And my creative partner was like, I can't take a sketch and make it a logo. Like, it doesn't work that way. This is going to take like hours of work. I was like, I don't know, man, just take that and put it here. And that's what it was at the beginning. But it was more like, I didn't want people to burn out, and it was out of necessity. It really was. But then as time grew and we started to get these projects with local businesses, it was about the relationship, and it became vitally important because, as you said, you used the term, when stuff goes pear-shaped, that's where the rubber meets the road. And if you have a client that you've done your homework on and you understand each other, it's not even about like them understanding us or us understanding them. There's two main points to our success. One is the team that we have. They're phenomenal. But they're really good human beings in that they collaborate, and they really put work into the relationship. It's like being married. How do you have a successful marriage if both parties don't bend a little bit, don't break a little bit, don't learn a little bit over time to become better?
Yeah.
My wife and I have been married for 15 years, and we've known each other since we were 5.
No.
And
I love that.
Yeah. But how do we continue to like grow? And that's the point of it.
Yeah, that's what you're getting involved with when you start working with a company. And and I think this is something that we're only really realizing in the last few years, but specifically in the last few months, when we've all been put under this, immense challenges in various different ways. But if you go after a particular market, and I used to have these conversations with agencies all the time when I worked in HubSpot, they'd take on HubSpot, and then they'd go, they'd put up all over their website, we do inbound marketing for the pharmaceutical industry, right? You know, it was like that, right? That was it. I was going, first of all, take the inbound marketing off your website. Nobody cares. Like, number two, you know, do you like the pharmaceutical industry? You're going to be talking to them all day. Do you like the personalities? Do you like the topic? What is it? And you'd hear them say like, oh no, it's going to be really good for our business. And I'm going, is it? You know, unless you love the people that are in there, passionate about the industry, or have people in your team who are like that, it's going to be very difficult to maintain the long term on that.
Amen. I love it, because as you can see, being Sicilian, I have jazz hands. I do crazy things, and I'm very animated.
We're putting this on YouTube as well, Darren, so feel free to use the hands.
Amen. That is what you just said about the passion and having those relationships. I think that's where it's important, because we have, like I said, we have a neurosurgeon practice, we have a hospital, we have a university. You're catering to a different audience for each. And that's hard in a way. You know, I give our team a lot of credit, because you can't just focus on one thing. There's not this rinse and repeat. You know, that's where the passion comes in too. That's where the creativity comes in. When we first started this, there was a lot of inbound shops that were like, they were really great at what they did, but when you saw their like website, you're like, whoa.
Yeah. Talking
like
the jargon.
Yeah. Like there's jargon all over the place, but like there was no design element. There was no people. Like that is ultimately, you know, what you keep saying, it hits on such a big point right now, because as far as we're away from each other, that's as much as we're learning how to, in this new norm or whatever you want to call it, it's still about people, and it's still about the relationships. And people are realizing in this moment over the last 10, 12 weeks that like, we still have our meetings with people. We're still close. I still talk to our clients every other week just to check in.
Yeah.
That goes such a long way.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the messaging or the human element to it gets lost. And that's what I love. That's what I do well. That's what I love. And that's what I think, to me, it's not rocket science. You could do anything.
Yeah.
And be successful if you learn how to relate to people.
Yeah, and you think, and I think that's the message that we're learning over and over again. We're recording this coming up to the middle of June 2020. If ever there was a year to take a planner that somebody gave you at Christmas and maybe send it back to them.
Blow it up.
I'm telling you, the memes are just keeping me going. There's one right now, Darren, and I look at it probably every day, and it's a picture, one of those old 60s pictures of aliens.
I think I've seen this one. I think I saw it
titled
yesterday.
July. And it's aliens going, we're up next. Oh, I'm nervous. I'm in hysterics, and I am going, do you know what? I'll get a party ready for them. I could do with the company. That's where my head's gone to now. It's like, I'll get some snacks for the aliens, you know? So if I was to ask you, what is a word that would describe how you've been coping for the last, let's call it 3 months. We went into a lockdown. Is there a word, is there a phrase, is there something that resonates with you over the last 3 months?
The word that resonates with me, I think I have 3, and they're they're compartmentalized.
Yes.
There was a big, for me personally, pride for the amount of effort and flexibility that, from a company standpoint, the people at DSM have taken, and how they've kind of taken their routine and work life and just brought it to their homes. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're that enclave for New York City expats. So a lot of
Right.
the folks that work for us have families, have kids, have um, in-laws, whatever it is that they're having to deal with, and homeschooling,
Yeah.
um, a tremendous amount of pride, because we literally, the hardest thing for us to take out of our office with 15 people was getting the creatives to Big Macs out of the office and getting them set up at their house. We were up and running in 8 hours
Amazing.
and like hit the ground
Amazing.
running. Everybody, we have Slack, we have teamwork, we're using tools. You've now introduced us to Alex. It's like our team has taken, and the amount of information that people are hammering you with now on
Oh,
LinkedIn, and Lee from RSW, and actually he put up a post like, stop cold selling me on LinkedIn. Like it
oh,
wasn't
yeah.
it wasn't cool before this, and
No.
it's sure as hell ain't cool now. Like,
Oh, yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
um that was a big thing, but a tremendous amount of pride. And on a personal level, given everything that has happened over the last 3 months, not just with a lockdown and coming out of it and the health stuff, and what's happened here, in America with all the other situations that have been going on over, call it, the last 2 weeks. um, it's a really hard time. For us, I can speak to, I have I have one woman that works for us whose husband is a New York City firefighter, and
Oh,
she's dealing with having to, and has 3 young kids and living in a separate house because he has to do his job.
yeah.
And it's awesome. Like
I know.
the amount of the amount of pride that I have for the people that not only are in my sphere of influence, that have come together, that are helping each other, that are doing things that we never would have thought about, um, offering help, and just it's a tremendous amount of pride, and it's a tremendous amount of it's taking a tremendous amount of effort. And I
Mm.
think that we're starting to see, like here in Jersey, we're starting phase 2 of
Right.
the, getting things back up and running. New York City yesterday, the mayor spoke about getting phase 1 off the ground. Um, and on the other side of it, you have, in this country, you're still digging, as morbid as it sounds, you're still digging 1,000 graves a day for people that are dying of COVID. Like,
Right. Yeah. It's not gone anywhere. It's just not in the headlines anymore because
the
of the
yeah,
new that yeah, because of a very, very old situation that has always been there is now
yes.
right up in the top of people's faces. And I know I have many conversations with American companies and interviews and people. We're all watching. We
Mhm.
cannot not rely on you guys. Like we are, it's as much, if you ask any person, we are watching American news as much as we watch our own news.
Mhm.
Like that's how much, because a lot of people go, I don't know, they go, I don't know if you know. Oh, we know.
What's going on?
We
Yeah.
all know. And here we have our own version of that going on because we have our own sort of way of that's in our face. It's not the brutality, it's not the fighting, it's not the guns. We have our own version of it here. What has that done? It's brought it all to the surface, which in some ways is incredible. But also I feel for business owners. I've just been having conversations this morning going, more than ever before, we are trying to figure out how to live in the world and how to bring our business and move our business forward. Because that's a huge challenge right now. We used to be able to go to work, right? And almost leave the troubles of whatever was going on at home, whatever was going on in the news, whatever was going on in the world, and we could go to work.
Mhm.
That is becoming increasingly
Yeah.
difficult to do.
Yeah. And it's these are really difficult conversations, you know. They're really difficult conversations, and making sure that when you translate it to business, like for me, again, we're not a huge company, and we pride ourselves on being a family. It's
Mm.
just what it's important to me. I'm Italian, like the whole Sicilian thing always comes out,
Yeah.
but it's important to me from the C-suite to our interns that they know that they have one, a person leading them that is willing to take a stand,
Mm.
and in a respectful way. There's a certain way to do it in business. I've had to learn that. I've had to learn to scale it. I was just having this conversation with our creative director over the weekend, and it was funny because it had nothing to do with any of the situations going on, but it's like the messaging we're redoing. It seems like every agency is redoing their website and trying to figure it out. And like
Yeah.
DSM was always, when I started when I was 30 and I didn't have kids, and I was still, I'm 43 now. And I'm still a 12-year-old in my head. But over the course of 13 years, I've gone through this experience, and I'm 43 and I love being 12 and wearing like Tom Selleck Magnum PI
Love
shirts.
him. I love him. He's one of my favorites, one of my early crushes.
Yeah, there you go.
Magnum
Here's Tom,
PI.
Tom Selleck in all his glory.
Oh, Magnum PI. I would have been 12. He would have been my
Yeah.
first crush. He still looks amazing. God, like he still looks
Yeah. On those commercials for like reverse mortgages, he looks great. But on the other side of it, and Derek said to me, he's like, I don't want to lose that edge that made DSM what DSM is. Like,
yeah.
You're a unique personality, and we can't get rid of that. But how do we take 13 years of bumps and bruises and experiences? Like, I'm 43 now, and I have 3 kids, and there's all these things going on in the world. And yes, I'm still Darren, and that's the Darren that people love. But I'm also, there's certain things that I've matured on, and learning how to, one of the big ones is learning how to separate personal from business over time, because it almost killed me. Like, that's how a lot of entrepreneurs, when you talk about what their shop means to them, it's everything.
I know. It becomes everything. It's intertwined in them.
Yeah.
But with that comes their ego. And then they're unable to make good decisions for the business because it's too personal. And it sounds like you've got the right team there. You've got a COO, you've got a CFO. As much as you can jump up and down and make an emotional decision, you got 2 people with the level head that ain't got, skin in, like your skin, and they believe and they're passionate about the business. It's very different as the owner. And I've worked with loads of them. You can be clouded with those decisions, right?
And you want to know why what you just said is even elevated another level, is because they're both women and they're both amazing.
Awesome.
I will go on record here as
Awesome.
saying that women, the reason why DSM is where it's at is because the balancing of that out. And it's not so much the ego part of it. It's a little bit, but it was more like the agency just overtakes you, because you wanted to, when you build something up from your front porch, and instead of like having a goldfish, you have like a laptop, there's no going back. Like, I remember crossing that threshold of when my wife said the first time, I was literally like, I'd take the laptop and I'd move it into the dining room. And it was like, I don't know if this is going to work. Will it work? Maybe. I don't know. What happened was, I'll never forget the first time. This was probably like halfway through 2008. And she goes, you can't there's no going back now.
No.
Like, people are counting on you.
Yeah.
Like, you have real people with real businesses that are entrusting DSM. And on top of it, what makes it even crazier is that when your initials are on the door, and it's not like the initials thing was not an ego thing. Like, hey, we're DSM. It's like, I don't have an idea that's better than calling us, when I was sitting in the front porch, the DSM Group. The great thing about
that was
it,
necessity.
Right? Yeah, like, I was literally like, I don't have an idea. I don't know. Like, I don't have a cool name for this. Like, let's call it my initials. And the best part was, at the beginning, it was me, and we were the DSM Group. And now that we're 15 people were just DSM. Go
Right.
figure
Yeah.
it. Go figure it. You know, it's like, it's the lamest name ever. But over time, as there's been brand equity built, it's been pretty cool, because
Yeah.
it you know, when people talk about us, like I said, we're a primarily, we work within 50 miles of where we're located. People know us and they're like, oh, Darren. Like,
Right.
now it's
Yeah.
now there's a certain, or, oh, our you know, like our COO Zinka, or or Derek or Dan, or
Yeah.
whoever it is. Um, there's a certain amount of cachet that comes with that. But on the flip side of it, and this is what I tell people, heavy is the head. With that cachet comes an obligation to the community. You know, we've
Right.
always been big on giving back.
Yeah.
That's really important. And I credit that to my mother-in-law, because she's running a 115 or 116-year-old quarry business right now. And I've never seen a woman give more back to the community than she does.
Hmm.
And it's amazing. I mean, that was always a big part of it. How our third person in, Christine, who runs the traditional side of our agency, we met through being on the board of an animal shelter.
Right.
And one thing led to another. Her other agency, you know, went kaput, and she had to take a pay cut. And I was like, hey, we went out for pizza. I'm like, come work for us. I don't know really what I'm doing yet,
Yeah.
but, you know, that spark, or that, you know, cachet that comes with what we are.
Yeah.
Um,
That's all to do with the core values there, Darren. Do you know what I mean? Like that's
yeah.
you're very clear about your core values. It's very interesting. I know the Italian side of things and the Irish side of things. We have this same sort of. It's quite interesting. I've only ever really seen it now. I don't know, obviously, every nationality in the world, but I have met quite a few Italians who have that. It's the same in Ireland. They have this this reverence for women and an appreciation for women that isn't solely sexual, you know. So like I have plenty of Irish male friends that value me as a woman, as a friend. Do you know, there's a, you know, I don't have one job. You know,
Yeah.
I have other jobs, you know, and I've seen that in the Italian community as well. There's this it's like an acceptance that is not often in other nationalities. You know, it's like the men and women kind of, it's the old women do this, you know, whereas there's a very strong amount of that happens. Italian, Irish, there's a reverence for the mothers, like a big reverence, oh, my mom, you know. But then on a friendship level, it's very even playing field, where you can see that, and we know the difference, like women can see it. You can go, you can see when a man is seeing value in you as a person, not as a woman. Do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of yeah, it's very interesting to see that over the years. It's very cool.
The women at DSM, and I could say this because, again, 2019 was a really difficult year. And Zinka and Charlene both, for 2 weeks to a month, literally kept the agency going, was dealing with some stuff. And it was,
What
like, you
made
know,
it difficult, Darren?
had a lot of people we had a lot of turnover last year. You know,
Clients, staff?
client staff. There was just there was a lot of people. We built the agency up over interns, and there was, you know, a few people that left and, you know, entered other parts of their life. It was like a natural progression and whatever. My partner, who was in the business, you know, bought him out. Got to a place where we, you know, it was better to go separate ways.
Yeah.
So, but it was really difficult. There was, you know, there was a lot of turnover. With that people turnover, again, we were able to bring on a new staff and be able to add pieces that we didn't have before. But getting to that place was really hard because there was a lot of people there. Again, some was like, it wasn't opportune timing. Others, it was just like that, you know, one guy, Dan, who was our digital director, he'd been there since he graduated college, was there for 8 years, you know, moved from the suburbs out here to Harrison, New Jersey, got engaged. It was just the time in his life where he wanted to make the move into, working in Manhattan.
Mm.
Another girl, Laura, who went to my high school, went through grad school at DSM at Loyola. She went to Loyola, went to grad school, and, moved to Hoboken. She was there for 3.5 years. There was a lot of that, which I'm all for. I'm all for like
Of
pushing
course.
people,
Yeah.
making sure people are getting to where they need to go. Some of it was not opportune timing, buying out my partner,
Yeah.
having a sales director that, left, and there was a lot of turnover, but I can say with 100% certainty that without Zinka and Charlene there running the operations and running the finances of the business, we ended up growing over 100% last year. And
So how did you do that? Because I can imagine, I know you probably went to the place, which I'm seeing a lot of agency owners right now go. It's like, I've even had one agency owner say to me, a pandemic is not going to stop this agency. Right? I was like, that's your fuel. You go to that place of, if things are going bad, you can go to that place going, I started this on a porch. This is not stop. You have that gut fuel. How did you get out of that? What did you do, and what did your CEO and CFO do for you to get out of that situation? Because I imagine people are in this situation right now. Turnover, clients, it's history repeating itself in a different way for different reasons. So what did you do to get out of that?
I bought out a partner, we turned over a staff, and the staff that was there dedicated themselves to producing the best product that we can. Again, we don't have all the resources in the world, but they dedicated themselves to our clients. And it's the same thing I told them when this pandemic started. I said, guys, a lot of things in the world are going to change. New sales are probably going to slow down, not for anything that we're doing. But I said, that doesn't change the fact that we should be dedicating ourselves or rededicating, or whatever that looks like, to our existing clientele. And all of our clients, the only one that was non-essential was my buddy who's got a men's clothing store, and he's opening today.
Yay.
He was closed for 10 weeks. But the clients, and again, he's like a brother to me, but the types of clients that we had, he took the time to take this 40-year-old custom haberdashery, and they blew out walls, they redid the inside of the store. Like, that resourcefulness, that's kind of like the glue that fuels us and fuels our relationship with them. Like, he didn't just close down the store and do nothing. He was like, how can we improve it? How can we make it better?
What can we do? What can we make it better? It's something about, I know our hometown is probably a lot smaller than your area, but it sounds like it could be. We've only got 60,000 people in where I am. I'm in the west of Ireland. So historically, it's a tourism place. It's heavily reliant on tourism. Recently, in the last few years, become quite foodie. So there's a lot of food, a lot of places. And obviously, everyone got shut down. The last 3 weeks, I think, I have never seen such creativity and resourcefulness in my local community, from bars selling pre-made cocktails. You can buy an old-fashioned in a jar with a little, like you'd buy jam years ago.
Oh, like canning in a, what do they call those jars? I know what you're talking about.
Like a little jar with the little plastic and the rubber on top. Like, you would have seen jams.
Yeah,
banging out hundreds of them in a small town, and the resourcefulness, that is incredible. So, impact wise, what was the kind of initial reaction? Like, what happened immediately with the agency and your clients, Darren?
Initially with the clients, everybody was in shock. I mean, where we were and how it was impacting, it went from 0 to 90. Like, we're 25 miles out of New York City.
Yeah, you guys were mega hot spot.
Like, we were the epicenter, and like 10 minutes away in Teaneck, New Jersey, there's a hospital called Holy Name, and that was where like it started in New Jersey. and it went from 0 to 90. Like I can remember the night before I was watching a Knicks game and they were playing, and literally like halfway through the third quarter, they announced that they're shutting down the season. And the next day it was like everybody had to scramble and let's, make sure we're up and running from home. And again, we're all on laptops, the majority of us outside of the creative guys. So it was, it was fairly easy. It was 0 to 90. Like it was shock. The best way I can explain it is shock and awe.
Shock and awe. Oh my God, I haven't heard that for a long time.
Shock and awe, because it was literally everybody's got to shut down.
Everything.
We have some folks at the agency that have some health concerns that we had to be mindful of. Mm-hmm. So it was like, get that stuff, get it out, and let's go. And our team, again, to the credit of everybody, what I've seen and why I'm so like the word that I said before was pride, is that we've seen now a sort of middle management. Like the top of the agency is myself, is Zinka and Charlene. And it's very simple. Like the networking and sales, me, the operation side, Zinka, and the finances, Charlene. Everybody has their delineation of what they do. We stay out of each other's way, and that's the way it is. And that's, it's like the 3 parts of government. Like everybody's governing their own part. You don't get involved unless we all need to come together and make a joint decision. And then it's got to get to me. And, ultimately the responsibility of that decision is mine. With that being said, though, there's been this middle management level, this director level that has formed, that has, in the place of all being together, that made it convenient to what you're saying of just going to work. Mm-hmm. We have 4 or 5 people who have really stepped up their game, that have taken more responsibility, not only with their client stuff, but of leading the younger folks in the agency. Because we have some, folks that are a year out of college. We haven't really hired any interns or anything like that, but this summer is unique. But I'm really proud of them.
Right.
Of that, they see that in the absence of being together, that everybody can't, it's not as easy to just bring somebody into Zinka's office or my office and sit everybody down and say, this is what it is. And they've taken that initiative to say, guys, you guys focus on what you need. It's the same thing we tell our clients. Let us handle the marketing. You go run your business. If you're a neurosurgeon, go cut into people's spines and save lives. Because what we do is not or go cut into somebody's head and and make sure that they're healthy.
Yeah, and we'll do the marketing.
Right, we're not rocket scientists. You're a rocket scientist. You're way smarter than we are, man. Go do your thing.
Go do your thing. Have you got a start date for returning to the office yet, Darren? Or is that something that's up in the air?
We had a town hall on Friday with our staff, and Zinka put together a really comprehensive plan. So we're trying to do it in waves. I don't know if there's a specific date to it. I do know that there's a few folks that'll remain nameless that have children that are totally ready to get back to 4 hours of peace and quiet in our office.
They're putting it under the guise of Darren says we have to go back to the office.
I'll jump on that grenade all day.
All on that ship, okay?
Yep.
You have to make phone calls to a partner. Sorry, really needed in the office.
Darren he twisted my arm. He said we had to go back to the office. Look, at this point, my wife will probably end up hearing this one day. There's a few days this last 10 weeks that I'm ready to go.
I have no idea how you parents have done it. I swear.
I'm surprised. I literally had to shut the door upstairs because my 5-year-old, I'm like, Tessa, I'll come upstaiars and eat breakfast with you and read a book, but daddy's getting on a call, because she'll just come down and she'll just go in front of the camera and be like, hey, I lost my first tooth last week.
I know. And right now I've seen so many colleagues interviews, and there's a funny thing happens, especially with the little girls when they come in and they see my hair. They go into this little mesmerizing state, and it's very hard to get them off the go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and they're just like, oh, wow. They just go into that zone, you know, and I have to talk to them and go, okay, can we go now? Because we have a chat. Darren, speaking of which, we'll get you back to breakfast, but I want to know, what are you looking forward to that's different now that I think we've all learned some lessons coming out. What are you excited about for your agency and as you see as an opportunity for the next 6 months? If we can even look that far, right?
Yeah,
Let's go 90 days.
I was gonna say it could change by Wednesday, but I'll go on record.
After the aliens get here.
Just make sure you have enough drinks ready for the aliens.
So many drinks for the aliens. We're doing marketing for the aliens.
There you go. What I look forward to, I don't know if it's something that's new and unique. I'm looking forward to getting back to being around people and getting that face-to-face with clients. Again, a lot of what we do and a lot of what we're built on, and having that office space and the clients that we work with and the relationships that we do is really like, we're big on face-to-face.
Right. The glue.
Getting,
conversation.
Getting in a room and like, if we have an issue, let's solve it. Like, let's all get in a room. Let's put the combined resources together. Even our biggest client, they're a small team. They're probably 7 people. So that's what I think is going to be the most amazing. I think there's going to be a V in the path. I think there's going to be people, especially in New Jersey, and that's what I can talk to, the agency landscape in Jersey. I think that there's going to be a lot of patience that is going to need to be enacted as we get back into a routine. You know, it's just very weird. Like, people are like, fist bump it. Like, what do I do? Do I hug you? Do I elbow you?
Yeah.
Like,
so awkward, especially a hugger. I'm an awful hugger, so I don't know how I'm gonna cope.
I'm a big hugger. Like, we had, like I said, we had our friends over last night. I'm like, dude, like, they're Sicilian. Do we hug? Like, I don't know what we do.
Super awkward. And then you get over it and you're just glad to be in people's company, you know?
I think the biggest thing for me is not something that is new so much, but I'm looking forward to the opportunity to re-engage with people. A lot of the new business networking, the new business side of things, you know, starts with me, starts with a lunch, starts with, you know, drinks, starts with mind-blowing, starts with conversation.
Wow.
Starts with a humanness. I think a lot of what we will learn, I think there's going to be a lot of shakeout in the industry. I think there's a lot of people that are much further along in their journey that I am, that this was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, I'm done. You know, like, I'm in a mastermind group. I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but guy that, you know, I've become a little bit friendly with out in San Diego, you know, big on tourism, and had Carnival Cruise Line as a client.
Oh my God.
Like 80% of the agency gone, or just uncertain overnight, you know, and that was one reason why we picked a diversified. Again, I could speak to now 13 years of being intelligent and saying, oh, that's why we diversified. That wasn't the reason at the beginning. I wanted to keep people fresh. And I especially on the creative side, I saw what I came from and a product of that. And the core thing, I think, going back to the very beginning, the reason why I started DSM was because I felt that there was a better way to do this. And not to say that we're on every level doing it a better way, but we're trying to.
Right.
And again, that's different when you're in year 1 with nothing versus year 13, because there are certain layers that are built into an organization that you just, there are certain things that are necessary now. But
diversity is a freaking bloody massive one right now, and it has been for a very long time. And even if you came at that just from a really simple core human perspective of, do you know what, as a human being, it'd be good if I was inputs and my friends and my interests were diverse. Why don't we just start there? Just,
Yep.
you know, imagine
Yeah.
that world instead of just sticking with, like, you know, going out of your world, going to travel, going to read things, going to different communities, going to different ethnic backgrounds, whatever it is, different food, could be anything. My God, please try new things. That's
Yeah.
what's got us all in this situation, you know?
And we're lucky in that we are, as an agency, the demographics of the agency tend to skew. I'm probably the third. I'm a fossil at this point within the agency. I started it at 30, and I'm a fossil by now.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is that the new folks that come in and that we bring in, they come from different states, different backgrounds, and it's just awesome.
Yeah.
Like
That's it.
that family element. Like I said, I always go back to it, and I know it probably sounds cliche, but it's like there's a different vibe at DSM that makes it different. Whether you like us or you don't like us, or you believe in us or you don't believe in us, the people that have worked with us, even if they're not our clients anymore, many of them are still our friends.
Right.
And they still call me and they'll be like, hey, we're looking at another agency. Can you just look at the proposal? I want to make sure I'm not getting hosed.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And
yeah,
isn't that a fantastic business to wake up to every morning, Darren?
yeah,
That's what's got you through the pandemic. That's what's going to get you through all the tough and hard times.
yeah.
And I think that's what I feel now that's a great message. We'll probably take the show and wrap it up here, because I want you to go and have breakfast with the family, because pretty soon you're going to be hiding out in an office. I can tell by you. You're going to be off down the road soon.
There's a lot of me that's ready. There's a lot of me that's ready.
But I think that's a really good one. And I feel right now, if you are an agency owner, I've spoke about this, if you're not waking up right now and you haven't got the passion, the drive, the sort of like that whole thing in you, you can make that business. It's now your time. It's your turning point. You can make that decision and go, this is actually the business I want. I shouldn't be going after a niche because it's going to be profitable in the future, maybe or maybe not. I want this type of business where people are coming over and hanging out with you, and you've created like the family, and then the extended community of your business, and then the extended community of the people you work and live with. That's pretty cool.
And I will go on record, because I know this was important to the message, saying at the beginning that if there are agency owners, again, I've lived through 13 and a half years of growing this from nothing to something. I guess it's not done. But it's way bigger and way more complex than it was at the beginning of me sitting in a front porch with a laptop. I will throw it out there and say, and this is a no strings attached offer, I'm here. Like, you want to call me, you want to connect, go on LinkedIn, go on, my social channels, reach out. I'm happy to talk with people. I'm happy to offer advice. Again, I have a lot of my own opinions, and I have a lot of battle scars to be able to offer advice. It may be right, it may be not right for where you're at, but I'm available. And I think it's really, really important. I don't think there's enough of this. And if I could just say this to your audience, however it comes out, that in the world we live in right now, this is vital on all levels. We need to come together. You have to make yourself available as a person, as a business person, as a father, as a dad, as a husband, whatever, wife, whatever, brother, sister. I've gone through enough things now at 43 to know that it's so important. So I want to put that out there into the world. Like, I'm here. And if anybody wants to reach out and just, talk or ask a question, or you're at a different place in, your agency or whatever it is, I'm here. I'm available, and I'm here to help. And there's no strings attached. Like, I've had people reach out to me and be like, hey, I'll buy a gift card. Like, go find something in your community that has value and give to that. I don't need stuff.
Yeah.
I need to know that people are okay.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
on all levels.
Hmm. Darren, this has been absolutely incredible. And I know I'm going to make this promise as well. Thank you so much for being on the show. I think we should follow this up in a few months' time. I'd love to hear what's coming out the other side, if you'd be up for that. And we'll put links to your LinkedIn and your website and everything, how to get in touch. I
Great.
really appreciate you being on the show. It's been fantastic.
Well, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for having me. And I'd be happy to do whatever helps you guys and your audience. I'm here.
Super. Thanks.